Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
Wow, another Thursday has come.
We've made it.
Yeah, another Thursday has come, which means it's Family Feud Day. We have Cy Young revisited, 93. Jay Hay, is it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, 93 Cy Young. We're interviewing Preston Mattingly today. Is that part of this podcast?
I think it's separate. I think
we've been doing hot with the separates, right?
All right, yeah. So like we'll put that on the YouTube channel. Yeah, that'll be on the YouTube channel. So check that out.
Mm-hmm. Catch it on the tube
this weekend. Yeah, that'll be out this weekend. Wow, what a day to talk Major League Baseball. What a day to talk ball with the fellas. Nothing crazy happened since we last met. Like, we didn't have another major domino fall or anything, but there's been a lot of Bregman drama this week. And
a lot of Bregman drama. We got a trio of 2 for 22s as well. That's something to note. But what's going on? What's going on with the Breggy drama, huh?
Yeah, so I don't
something going on.
I don't like
there.
I don't like any of this. None of it's fun.
We knew this.
None of it's fun because if, like, I do believe the D-backs are a legitimate threat, but now kind of like hearing about it and talking about it on Section 10 and Twitter, now I'm basically carrying water for Scott Boras, which I don't like that. Like, I'm just like, I will get 4,000 tweets a day from people being like, any scoops, any scoops, any scoops, any scoops. And then I give them a scoop and then they're like, oh, you're just carrying water for Scott Boras. How does it feel to, leverage against the Red Sox? I'm like, all right, then you will never fucking hear another scoop from me ever again. Okay?
What do you got? Where? How close? How close is your locker to John Heyman's locker in the Boras Corp house?
Yeah, they have to separate us because we don't get along. But those Boras checks clear, man. It is it's definitely a new source of income for me. It's made Christmas this year much more stress-free of a process, knowing this shit's covered and then some. So
it's just mystery team mania out of fucking Carabas's mouth these days. Mystery team, it's right on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, like that's what it's worth it to get bought off like that.
That's what I was going to say. That's the playbook. You have learned the playbook. Like, you want to talk about Phillip Rivers coming in and already kind of changing things, changing the complexion of what the Colts are doing at age 47 or however fucking old Phillip Rivers is now. This is you learning the playbook. You're a diligent worker. You're a great teammate. And I know Heyman's happy to have you. I know Boras is happy to have you.
Well, they've been looking for a replacement for Heyman for a long time. Like, he's getting up there. He's not going to be able to do this forever. So there needs to be someone to take the torch. And I'm just honored that it's me.
Are you ready to sit at the bar by yourself and mope around like Eeyore at the winter meetings?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
You got the job.
Yep, that's part of it. Listen, that's part of it. I think I got my my itinerary of everything that I'm responsible for. So I'm going to be doing streams where I just reword like the same shit every day, but like it has no substance. And I have to. It says I also have to do the same thing on Twitter. I just have to kind of like tweet things where there's like nothing really there, and then just kind of reword it every single day from, it looks like November to about mid-January. Then I can kind of come out.
There you
of
go.
Yeah,
that's an approach.
Yeah,
well,
but
I'm
cool,
glad you're
man.
finding
I'm
your
excited about it.
I can't even believe it.
Thank you,
I can't
John.
even believe it.
Me neither, man. Teammates, same team.
The Bash Brothers, the Boras Bash Brothers. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, so when Bregman when Bregman signs with the Diamondbacks, I'm gonna need that closed circuit television video clip of you two just fucking in your towels after a shower, chest bumping. That a baby Hames? Is that what you call him? You call him Hames?
Hey, dog.
What do you?
Yeah. I mean, he'll never beat the allegations after that the Juan Soto press conference when he like kind of got left hanging by Soto when he walked in to be introduced as the newest member of the Mets. Yeah, that was tough.
I remember that video footage.
Yeah.
His hand wasn't like fully extended, but you could almost hear him sticking his hand out. He was like,
Yeah.
Ugh.
You got to pay the bills, man. Got to pay the bills. You know, a job's a job, as they say.
That's it. Nobody's mad at you.
No, people are mad.
Some
are.
Some are. Some are quite mad at you. Yeah, just like Mets fans. Mets fans not happy with me. Mets fans.
I was getting yelled at for that too. Dude, the internet's just a bad
me
place.
too.
Yeah. Like yesterday, you know, we put the clip out from the Monday episode talking about the Mets being like, yeah, the offseason hasn't gone well. And Mets fans like, yeah, no fucking shit. Breaking news. Wow, great insight and analysis. I'm like, well, we have to talk about it. Like, what do you want us to do? Like, we're supposed to wait until the offseason has concluded to fully assess the Mets offseason? Well, like, no, we're talking about it right now because it was a good point. Like, after the signing of Jorge Polanco, it's like, okay, yeah, like this is a good check-in point to be like, how's the Mets offseason going?
Well, and the whole, where I was coming from was saying, and do we understand how Mets fans feel about their core or felt about their core? Of course we do. Why? Because you didn't have the success that you would hope to have had with your core. So moving on from that, what do? Well, you watch Pete Alonso do what he did offensively and you get excited about that or you appreciate that. And then you see Pete Alonso sign elsewhere. And whether you're frustrated that he signed elsewhere or you're happy because the core wasn't winning together and get him out of here, well, I mean, that's a hell of a turn of events, like quickly in regards to how you feel about your franchise guy or who I would say was the franchise guy until Soto. And I mean, there's just, when I say franchise guy, you can love Lindor and the paycheck is what it is. Same thing for Soto, but there's no denying how beloved Pete Alonso was in New York. I don't think you can deny that for 1 minute. And when you then seemingly have the replacement for that guy in the form of a middle infielder, career middle infielder, who's kind of been told, hey, he's going to be over it for, well, then you're like, okay, well, what's going on? What do we got going on here? And the whole premise is the offseason, contrary to what I've heard, isn't over. So there's still a lot of work to be done, which is understood across the board. Yeah. But in the moment, and you want to get upset about or not upset, but like there's any sort of disingenuousness going on around the Diaz assessment. Diaz told you, we gave the Mets a number. They came back with something less, and we took that number to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers said yes, and that was that. So where were we disingenuous there? We were not. That was the Mets saying, we're not going to give you what your number is right now, but there's still some room here. Okay, well, that's how negotiations go. And when you are competing with the defending two-time world champion back-to-back, like you've got to understand that there might be a willingness for a player to say, I'm good here. I don't need to go back to where I just came from, and see if they're willing to match that. And based on things that we've heard about the clubhouse atmosphere and the fact that the core was not winning, as Mets fans have pointed out, what would you have that guy do? So that's why we assess the offseason as going, well, there's probably a lot of offseason left based on the calendar, because I know how to read a calendar.
I'm not worried about the Mets right now. I mean, they did sign Luke Weaver, and they're certainly, Yankee fans that are like, are you going to sign anyone else? Any other former Yankees? Like, they seem to continue to do that. Whatever, man. If you like the player, you like the player. I don't care where he played before that. I don't think that they're like the Mets. The Mets are not sitting there being like, what former Yankees can we bring in? No. I don't think that that's a strategy. It's kind of just a coincidence. But Luke Weaver to the Mets, Jay. Hey, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a solid pickup. I agree with you. I don't think it has anything to do with where he previously played. The thing with the Mets, and Luke Weaver ties into this, is that I just don't think, like, the Mets fans have pushed back. Like, what did you guys want us to do? Run the same team back? Like, you guys would have criticized us in that regard as well. And I think there is something to that. But to me, there's a third path between run it back with the same crew, turn it over, and bring back different players that are on the whole lesser talented than the people you've sent out. There's a third path, which is bring back a chunk of the people who were good for you last year and add to those players. And that's that's the disconnect I can't really get with on Mets fans. It seems that they are tripping over themselves to move the goalposts from what we were told the Steve Cohen era would be. And if it's not that, that's fine. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but don't get mad now because people are reacting to certain ways about Luke Weaver for 2-22 and Jorge Polanco for 2-40 when this gentleman was depicted as a sport changer, a infrastructure changer, right? And that's just not what's happening. Luke Weaver, though, I think is a great pickup. Since the start of 2024, his strikeout rate has absolutely spiked relative to what it was before. He's striking out about 10.5 batters per 9 innings. That's way above what his career mark was. That was sustained largely from 24 to 25. I think he's a person who makes their bullpen better, even if he wasn't quite as electric in 25 as he was in 24.
Something I do consider, because I agree with everything that you just said. The fact that he's getting comfortable and more comfortable year in and year out, because the ERA, 3.21 over the last 2 years coming out of that role. I think you have no choice other than to be excited about what Luke Weaver could bring to the table, what you hope he brings to the table. So I love that move in that regard. What does give me just a bit of pause, and these are things that can be addressed. I'm absolutely certain they are things that have already started to be addressed on two fronts. And why do I say two fronts? Because I think we already have an example of what happens in the game of baseball when you know what pitch is coming, how much easier things get. But you now have a guy in the 8th inning and a guy in the 9th inning who have had issues with letting the other team know what's coming in terms of tipping their pitches. Luke Weaver said so as much last year, talked about how it was maybe difficult to get comfortable and go out and compete how he wanted to because, and I know exactly what he's talking about, if I feel for just a second that I might be letting some other team know what's coming, I don't know how comfortable I am just letting it eat, letting it rip. I don't feel like I have that cloak of invisibility on. And that's a tough way to go about it. And so if you have a guy in the 8th inning and a guy in the 9th inning who have kind of struggled with those are things that you want to have buttoned up before you start the regular season and definitely before you get to where you hope the Mets can go, which is the postseason. So that's something small. It's something minute in the grand scheme of things, but it was just something that kind of, I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Didn't Luke Weaver have issues with this? We know that Devin Williams has had issues with this. Like, let's hope that gets taken care of. But if those are your leverage guys, you want to make sure that they do feel that layer of invincibility and they feel like they have that cloak of invisibility on their stuff.
He allowed 15 earned runs over his final 9 2/3 innings pitched of the season. That's since the start of September through the playoffs. He allowed 5 runs in a third of an inning with 0 strikeouts in the postseason. So I obviously reliever sample and innings that can be thrown off by a bad month, which is essentially what this was. And Dallas spoke to why that was happening. But it's at least something to me. Not good or bad, but I do think it's interesting that we've reached a point where, and probably good, I guess, that a bad month for a reliever, if it comes with an explanation, is not a death knell for that player to get paid. And that applies to Devin Williams too, because Devin Williams wasn't even a month. It was an inconsistent season in a lot of ways relative to his previous standards, but there are a lot of underlying numbers that suggested that there's a lot more good still to be had out of this. And the Mets are banking on that in both of these situations, and I think they're probably correct.
And straight up, you guys know how I feel about dominant bullpens. You know that I love to watch guys at the back end of the bullpen go out and just shut shit down. And that's what these two dudes possess. They possess the stuff to be able to go and just shut shit down, shorten the ball game. And I think I've talked about this in the past, being able to operate, especially from a front office perspective, from back to front, when you're accounting for innings, you got 27 outs to account for. And if you are in a position where you can account for outs 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, right? That's a really good place to be, and that's where they're at right now. And Luke Weaver and Devin Williams combined can be a hell of a dynamic 1-2 punch to lock down a baseball game. And I would like nothing more, because especially speaking of Luke Weaver, do you know how fucking difficult it is to be told at the end of a season and then into the postseason, hey, we've got some things that we need to change here. And whether that's a setup, whether that's mechanically, like we have to pay attention to what we're doing right now, because I think we might be tipping our hand a bit. That affects you psychologically almost more, I would say more, than it does physically, because physically you'd like to feel that, because these are, what do I call them? Elite adjusters, right? You'd like to think, all right, maybe I can get to a point where I'm comfortable with my setup physically and I'm able to mask whatever it is that I'm doing. But to have to do that, or to try to do that and have that brought to your attention at the end of the season and heading into the postseason, buddy, that is tough. That is a tall task. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. So as far as the individual and as far as what the Mets are trying to do, I would love to see the adjustments made and love to see the success follow.
I would not, if I were a Mets fan, I would not feel super confident if that's my 8-9 going into 2026. Because
why not?
Devin Williams, you're like, the strikeout rate was fantastic, but obviously it was a very dog shit year for him. You're banking on him just finding it again. Like there's just like this idea that if you remove Devin Williams from the Bronx, that he'll be Milwaukee Devin Williams again. And I don't, like, that's not a guarantee. I mean, is it impossible? No. Maybe the Mets get their hands on him and they figure something out. Or I think didn't he speak about this at the winter meetings? Didn't he say that, like it was a team that he didn't even sign with, I think. And I may be getting this wrong, but I'm pretty sure when Devin Williams was at the winter meetings, he was speaking about meeting with teams, and one team was like, we noticed that you did this. And then he was like, oh, okay. And then he started to like kind of like correct it and found out what the issue was, and then signed with the Mets, not the team that pointed it out. So it's something like that. Like, it seems like there's something that he can fix that he's aware of and working on.
So something that I think would serve both these guys well is maybe just, I mean, from a Luke Weaver perspective, he might be a little farther down the road in terms of having another offering to create just that much more layer of unpredictability, right? And I think for Devin Williams, he would be well served as well to be able to have another offering, because I always talk about, if you are, and I was this dude, straight up, I was this dude, fastball, changeup, screwball, right? And I had to figure out how to just get a terrible, below average slider, slutter, slurve, whatever you wanted to call it on any given day, over for a strike, just so I could maybe try to steal strike one the second and third time through. Believe it or not, we were allowed to see hitters the third time through. And that was something I was going to have to do, had to do, in order to survive. Otherwise, I would have never been able to stick in the big leagues. And from a reliever perspective, if you don't have one of your two out pitches, which are fastball, changeup for Devin Williams, same can be said for Luke Weaver. If you don't have these offerings, what do you have? Well, now you have the offense honing in on one thing, and that's a scary way to go about it. So I think with their stuff and how it plays, there's a ton of bright spots and a ton of upside, and I think it could only get better if you give them another offering to fool these guys with.
I found the clip, but it's like 3.5 minutes, and I don't know what part it is. I don't want to like skip around on the show, but
of what, Luke Weaver?
No, Devin Williams talking about like a team that found something. But either way, it's a move for the Mets. Do you know Underdog's probably not going to have anything for the Jake Paul fight, huh? Are you going to watch that, Dallas?
I've thought about it, but I mean, look, dude, the idea that
you're not above this.
Yeah, no, I am, because the idea that there's a clause in the contract where he can't go hard, where they're like, I have to, I gotta reel it in.
What are you talking about?
For Anthony Joshua, I believe there was, or I saw something, and I could be talking out of the side of my neck right now.
You're talking crazy.
I don't think so.
There's no clause. Like, that's got to be like a fake. There's no way that like they would have this big fight on Netflix and then it's in the contract and that's public knowledge. There's no way.
I'm gonna
Well,
look
you
it up
look
right
for that.
now.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. You can make entries of any sport, mix and match amongst all your favorite sports. You win up to 100 times your money, and it's a ton of fun. Sign up with the promo code Jared. That's Jared to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared.
So yeah, it's a rumor. It's a rumor
so it's
that the
not real.
go easy clause is a rumored stipulation.
There's no fucking way that like Dallas, you're smarter than that.
I'm also, look, there's people who go back and have analyzed and broken down the Tyson fight and have identified moments where like Tyson probably could have just let loose, probably could have fired
The Tyson
away.
fight to me
was anchored at times.
The Tyson fight was
and
Jake Paul saying, you're a pillar of the boxing game and you were not in it when this kind of money was available to the boxers, and this belongs to you. So he got him a massive payday. That's what I think the Tyson Jake Paul fight was. But this one, a 2-time heavyweight champ who's still in his 30s, he's not going to sign up to lose to Jake Paul. Like, he's not going to sign a contract to lose to Jake Paul.
And here's this. I'll read this. Rumors circulated heavily before the Jake Paul and Tyson fight that a secret contract clause prevented Tyson from throwing his signature uppercuts or even getting a knockout due to his age and health.
I don't know.
It's not confirmed but this is now the second time there's been these sort of rumors.
You're a believe
right?
anything you see on the internet kind of guy, Dallas.
Well, I just look, I'll say this at the very end of everything I just said regarding the Joshua contract rumors and the Tyson and the Tyson contract rumors is you cannot take anything away from what Jake Paul has done, because there were people who very early on were like, this is just a sideshow. And sure, he was beating up soup cans early, but now like he's worked his way into people who have been, we're talking about a 2-time champion, right? We're talking about Mike fucking Tyson. Sure, Mike Tyson took a walker out to the ring, but that's neither here nor there. As you pointed out, it's more of a, paying homage to the great, which I respect and love. And Jake Paul has always been a very vocal advocate for getting fighters paid. I mean, he's the dude who goes toe to toe with Dana White, talking shit about how Dana does not pay his fighters what they're worth, which is why other promotions still even exist. Because if those fighters in the UFC were paid what they are worth and paid comparably, I don't know that another promotion would be able to exist as much as they would want to, because the cream of the crop for any other promotion would be more than happy to take the paychecks that the UFC would be offering, even if they were headlining non-pay-per-view events.
Jay, hey, I feel like you're not a boxing guy, no?
No, I genuinely couldn't care less about the Jake Paul experience. No offense.
But will
to
I be
him
watching?
personally.
Yes, Jared.
Yeah,
yes, I'll be watching.
I mean, we're going to be like wrapping Christmas gifts and watching it. Like, we're not like, everyone gather around, we got to watch Jake Paul. It's more just like, yeah, we'll throw it on. Yeah. You said you're not interested in the fight, but are you interested in Bichette being open to playing second base, Justin Havens?
I'm extremely interested in that. That's right near the top of my interest list.
Yeah, it seems to me like it's a good strategy. I don't think that he's like, yeah, like I'll do whatever it takes. Like he probably wants to play shortstop. Like that's his position, and it's a premier position on the diamond, and guys like that take a lot of pride in the position that they play. Totally understandable. But I think what's probably happening here is Bichette and his team went into this winter thinking we're looking for 8 years, $200 million, and then those offers are not coming in. And those offers are not even close to coming in. So now it's like, all right, but what if I play second base? Then what? Then now do I fit your plan? Because like there's a lot of teams. It's like I have money, but I have a shortstop, and I have a shortstop that I really like. And all respect to Bo, but like not the greatest defensive shortstop. So your value is with your offense, and you're not a disaster defensively, but you could play some second base, and you played second base in the World Series. So Bichette's camp comes out. we can play some second base. That's great. Now, does that open up his market a little bit more, do you think? There's going to be more teams that are interested?
Yes. Absolutely.
Do you ultimately think he signs as a second baseman?
Marcus Semien became 50% of a $500 million infield because of his willingness to move positions.
Sure.
To go from a Gold Glove caliber shortstop and then go play second base because of who he was joining. And I think Bo Bichette, with his athleticism and what the bat can do, he's only doing himself favors, and in turn would only be doing the team who acquires him favors by being willing to play that role, by being willing to make the move and go to second base. Because now you open your market, and I think you make yourself just that much more desirable instead of standing pat. Because I think one of the things that players always consider is the market for their position. It's what you have to consider. And if you feel like you are in the top 1, 2, 3%, top 5% of what the free agent market is going to offer in your position, then you feel comfortable and confident in kind of holding your ground. But if you're not getting the reception that you anticipated, how do you sort of open the door and turn this thing from an invite only to open to the public? And that's kind of what being able to switch positions or being willing to switch positions does, is I no longer need to see your invitation. Come on in. Let's see what kind of party we can have.
I also saw like the Kylie McDaniel projection for Bo Bichette being less than, equal years, but less money than Bregman. How does that make sense for a player that's 4 years younger?
Yeah, that would, I think
shock me. That would shock me.
I think it would surprise me too, particularly given the conversation at the beginning of the offseason and the age gap. I do think this second base shortstop thing is fascinating though, because, and I don't know how much it's going to matter because, a player, if they value the player, they value the player. But there are many instances of players who signed as shortstops getting $200+ million or $175+ million in the history of baseball. There is, I believe, one example of a player signing as a second baseman, like at the time of the deal, not Xander moved to second base after the fact, signed as a second baseman to get $200+ million, and that's Robinson Cano. And that is probably not a great comparison for Bo Bichette for lots of reasons, but historically, teams have not been willing to shell out mega deals for people on that side of the middle infield. And
what did Altuve's extension end up being?
Altuve's extensions were like $150 million. So like he got paid, and he got paid multiple $100 million deals. But in terms of committing one long-term deal, $200 million plus, it's just Cano. And I think that's interesting because the defensive concerns with this isn't Bo Bichette saying, I'm willing to play second base a few years into the deal once things evolve and the roster might take on a different shape. This is everybody staring at his defensive metrics and being like, you might have been the worst defensive regular shortstop in baseball last year. Defensive run save says that. Outs above average says that. They both are in agreement on that topic. So you want to quibble with that in degrees? That's fine. I don't think you can quibble with that assessment in magnitude, though. So you are talking about a guy who might really need to switch off of shortstop if you want to be a championship caliber infield, like right away or in year 2. And I think that rub is where you maybe that's where the Bregman Bichette price, they come towards each other, because while people have age-related concerns maybe with Bregman just because he happens to be in his 30s, I don't think anybody has base-level skill concerns about where you're going to put Alex Bregman or how he's going to adjust defensively to where you put him. And I just feel there's a security with the Alex Bregman package that doesn't come with this massive question mark of, are we signing Bo Bichette to be a $200 million second baseman? And how is that exactly going to work out? And is that how we want to spend our money?
I think the ship has sailed on him getting 200, but I would be very surprised if he got less than what Bregman got for the same number of years virtually. Like there's rumors now about the DBacks being a team that could present 6 years to Bregman. So like, I'm going based on if they're both at 5 years, but we were talking 8, right? We were talking 8 years for Bo at the start of this. And now we're like, well, what if he gets 5 and he'd be lucky to get 6? I'm like, well, where did this come from? So I guess, I don't know, like the point being, if he's open to what you're saying, Jay, hey, just instead of gradually over time move over to second base, like I'll be your second baseman today, then that should increase the value. Also, I understand it's above average and defensive runs saved. Like those would be the two statistics that I would look at for defensive purposes. But having watched a decent amount of Blue Jays baseball, like he kind of passes the eye test. Like he's not an abomination. It's just he's not getting to balls that other shortstops. It's a range thing more than like an ability thing. If he gets to the ball, he can make the play, but he's just not getting to a lot of balls that other shortstops are getting.
So that's and look, that's an age-old question that defenders and defensive evaluators present. Is they ask, can he play this position? And that is a loaded question because it does entail everything that we're talking about right now. So can he field the baseball? Well, can he get to the baseball?
Right.
If he can get to the ball, he can field it. Okay, well, let's talk about his ability to get to the ball. Can he get to the ball? Well, if he can't get to the ball, is he serving the purpose that you would like your shortstop to serve? And I think this is more of just evaluation and the market telling him what position he's going to play. And I think you have to have that come to Jesus moment where you go, all right, what I'm bringing to the table defensively in this premium defensive position, frankly, isn't valuable enough for me to label myself as a premium defender. So though I play a premium defensive position, I might not be that premium defender. So the dollar gap is going to exist. And I again, go back to Marcus Semien. What was his deal? 7 for 170, 175, 180, somewhere around there.
7, 175.
That was because you're going to be a second baseman. That's what you're going to play. Now, should Marcus Semien have waited and said, you know what, I'm not going to play second base. I'm going to play shortstop. That's who I am. And that's how I would like to be paid. Would his defensive metrics have allowed him to garner more than that? I don't know. I think the market kind of told him that he might have been better off making that decision. And he did. And he netted himself $175 million over 7 years because his offensive profile was what it was as a second baseman. That becomes a hell of a lot more attractive than it does as somebody who is a net neutral or, in this case, a net negative defender in Bichette.
Yeah. I didn't realize he was like bottom of the barrel until I started looking at it, whatever it was, like sometime before Thanksgiving. I was like, yeah, let me do a little independent deep dive here on Bo. And yeah, what I found was a little jarring in terms of like how he's viewed defensively. But I think if he's willing to move over second base, he opens up his market to more teams. And I think even if someone signs him as a shortstop, it's just comforting to know that this is not going to be an issue somewhere down the line if we want to move you to second base. Because teams want to know that shit. Like, look at what just happened with fucking Raffy. You know, like people don't want that situation on their hands where it's like, all right, yeah, at some point we're going to want to move you to first base, or some point we're going to want to move you to DH. I want to know that that's not going to be a problem. And Bo's telling you that's not going to be a problem. So
I also feel like, just, I guess this is the last thing I'll say on Bichette. I feel like he's not a great player. He is a good to very good player. And I feel like it is relatively rare for a player of this kind of general value to reach free agency this early. Like normally, I feel like if you're reaching free agency after your age 27 season, you're generally you're a cut above this. You're a Machado, you're a Harper, you're someone like that. And I just, and this sounds negative on Bichette, and it's not. He's a very good player, but I just wonder that it's just a complicated value computation for me from a team end. When you factor in the defense, the second base, the fact that he's more good than great. And if you look at guys who have kind of fit that mold, how well have those big money deals turned out? Generally not very well. So I don't know. I think it's it's a complicating thing. And I just don't think I don't feel like mid-tier markets are going to be, even if we're talking about a $150 or a $175 million price tag, it feels off to me that one of those teams is going to plop down $175 million on a second baseman. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
no, I mean, he like his career UZR negative 15.4.
So do you think if he were to walk into your office right now, Dallas, and they're using the Semien contract as a benchmark, that they're going to get told to kick rocks because Semien was an elite and is an elite defender on top of like 40 homer plus power?
Not going to be told to kick rocks, but you're going to be told to simmer down now. Need you to simmer down now. Like, I can appreciate where you're starting, and that's exactly how you should be coming into this office.
Sure.
If you're going to leave this office and then return to this office tomorrow and the next day and the next day and then the next 7 years or so, I think we're going to have to find a middle ground. And that middle ground is probably going to be closer to my point than your starting point.
Yeah. I don't think that Bo would be a customer. He's got great hair. So this isn't for Bo, but it is for people who might be suffering in this department. But hair loss isn't just about hair. It's about how you feel when you look in the mirror. Hims helps you take back that confidence with access to simple, personalized care that fits your life. Are you tired of trying to figure out what exactly works for hair loss? Through Hims, you can get access to clear solutions, expert guidance, and an online process that takes the confusion out of care. And you shouldn't have to rearrange your life to deal with hair loss. Hims makes expert care accessible on your schedule so you can focus on feeling like yourself again. Hims offers convenient access to a range of prescription hair loss treatments with ingredients that work, including chews, oral medication, serums, and sprays. Doctor-trusted ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil can stop further hair loss and regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hims brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. No hidden fees, no surprise costs, just real personalized care on your schedule. Think of Hims as your digital front door that gets you back to your old self with simple 100% online access to trusted treatments for real health concerns all in one place. For simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/BID. That's hims.com/BID for your free online visit. hims.com/BID. All right, Dallas, it's your time to shine. Team USA, Team USA in the World Baseball Classic is shaping up to have it's a half decent team. It's a decent team.
Buddy,
they announced some names today
in
regards to who they'll have on the squad, particularly in the rotation. And
the stable of stallions? The stable of stallions. You can call it a rotation. I call it a stable of stallions. Jay Hay said it himself. Is there a better 1-2 punch in the history of the WBC outside of back-to-back Cy Young Award winner headed for a three-peat, just like the Triple Crown he won, Jared, other than Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens, Mr. fucking America himself, the dude who would be flying fucking fighter pilot or flying fighter. Oh my God, I'm stumbling. I can't even put it together. That's how exciting this is. You got Joe Ryan, like, buddy, when does it stop? And guess who you got at the back end of this sumbitch when it's all said and done? Mason Miller. Stop it.
Remember when the best they could do was like 45-year-old Adam Wainwright?
Yeah, things have changed, buddy. Things have changed. Salute the flag. America, we coming. Oh, we coming.
It was like Adam Wainwright, Merrill Kelly, like before anyone knew who Merrill Kelly was. Yeah, great. It was a great team, but the rotation left a lot to be desired in terms of the United States of America. I think getting embarrassed by Japan in 2023 was all it took for, and the emergence of these guys. Like a Skubal wasn't Skubal yet. Skeens wasn't a big leaguer yet. So yeah,
probably
times have changed.
Which we found out very early. There's nothing about Paul Skeens nothing about Paul Skeens that you saw in his last year at LSU and what he has already done in the big leagues through. Nothing's changed. He's just gotten better. That's what's changed. He's just gotten better. Clearly, he's gotten better. You could have plucked him out of that rotation at LSU and put him into any rotation in the big leagues, and he would have been just fine then. He's only gotten better now, and that's what you're running out there. Skubal, Skeens, Ryan, Holmes, McLean, Boyd. So far, that's where we're at. I don't know. I mean, good Lord.
There was plenty of time for people to hate on the WBC when it first was created and actually deep into its creation. And in a lot of those cases, some of those criticisms were fair. But I think what this has shown is that what this event needed was time, because if you compare the rosters in 2017 to the rosters this year, and specifically the pitchers, because that's where the rub has always been, it feels like, with the WBC. And are we going to risk our pitchers' health? How does this work with the ramp up to the season? All that sort of stuff. There were always excuses being made. The 2017, so not even all the way back, the 2017 WBC pitching roster, the rotation was, in no order, Chris Archer, Danny Duffy, Tanner Roark, Marcus Stroman, Drew Smyly. Okay? We now have the two best pitchers, no one questions this, in Major League Baseball participating on Team USA for the WBC. That is a massive win for Team USA, and more importantly, it's a massive win for the event and Major League Baseball and baseball as a global brand as a whole. This is exactly what the event was always hopefully was destined to bring, and it has arrived. And now it's like real legitimate excitement, as opposed to back then, which is let's build for future excitement, is what it felt like.
And you've got, guess who you got behind the plate, Jared? The two best fucking catchers in the game as well. Cal Raleigh, big dumper. Ever heard of him? From either side. Will Smith, World Series champion, few times over. Ever heard of him? Look, your island is cute, nice and warm and comfy. You might think about just posting your feet up, putting a fucking drink with an umbrella in your hand, and staying there, because this thing already might be spoken for.
I think our pitching leaves a lot to be desired. We're kind of like USA 3 years ago. But
and just wait till the fucking Nick Kurtz announcement drops. Just wait till that happens.
Nah,
him and Bryce Harper. Oh, buddy, come on.
Team DR still has the best lineup.
Yeah, well, buddy, you got to be able to score. And
maybe if this was like a midsummer type deal, but like these guys are not going to be stretched out. It's not going to be their best bullets. And you better come correct with your best bullets to the DR lineup. I'm just saying.
Buddy, when you're talking about 100-mile-an-hour bullets, one thing we know about timing, and this is
100 miles an hour. In March, are they 100 miles an hour? I don't think so.
Let's see. I've spent time with the guy who was just announced in Tarek Skubal in the offseason, and yeah, that shit's fuzzy out the gate, straight up.
Oh, you brought a radar gun with you?
I have no yes, there were radar guns available.
Yeah, they were juiced.
Yeah.
They were juiced.
They were juiced.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, being very serious about this, is the guys who are playing winter ball, there's no denying that is an advantage, because what is the clear separator early on in the season every year is timing, right? That's why pitchers have the advantage early on, is because things are coming out hot. Timing wise, from a hitter's perspective, it just takes that little bit to catch up and to click, and it inevitably balances itself out. But if you've been spending time playing winter ball, which a lot of these guys are, that can help close the gap immensely and quickly. But in all seriousness, you know how excited I am about the WBC. I know how much we all love the event. I fucking cannot wait. I cannot wait.
Jay, hey, how excited are you for WBC? I feel like, you're just, in almost every sport, you're just this roaming neutral fan. Are you going to have allegiance to the United States of America, or are you just a roaming neutral fan for the World Baseball Classic as well?
So I'm certainly not going to be like a jackass and root against the United States for just no reason at all. But what I do find myself doing here is that...
Who is rooting against the United States for no reason at all?
No one on this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm not going to be just that person who's like, oh, it's cool, I'm not going to root for the United States. But what I do find myself doing here with the dynamic of the two of you is that you guys have so clearly attached yourselves to specific teams that I feel like it's almost unfair for me to align myself with Team USA, because that would be picking almost between the two of you. And, your proud Dominican heritage, and obviously Dallas's, illustrious American heritage. But I do feel a pull towards the Far East, because I think if we're all looking at who the most likely winners of the tournament are, I haven't looked at the odds recently, but I would guess that Japan, the United States, and the Dominican Republic are the top three in some order. And, I'm a Shohei guy. And I could definitely see myself getting caught up in that. And just what they demonstrated the last time they did this and how cool that was. And obviously the moment, the Ohtani Trout moment, which we won't get that exact moment again, but we could get something awesome again. So I'm not rooting for Japan necessarily, but I'm rooting for the best possible clash of the Titans, I guess. And whether that ends up being a USA Dominican or a Dominican Japan or a Japan US, I'm going to be all in on those games. I will be watching every second.
Yeah, like I said, we got a fucking future fighter pilot that's going to be on the mountain mowing motherfuckers down.
Yeah, you keep mentioning that. I'm just not exactly sure how that is going to help.
It doesn't get any more American than that, than somebody who's actually
but how's that going to help? How's that going to help
in the armed forces
when you have the Dominican lineup just fucking one after another after another after another, just hammering bombs off of you? How's that going to help?
Oh, well, that's just not a thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're
that's
not
going to be a thing.
Obviously, we can't name names in terms of the competing sports books, but there are sports books out there that have Team USA as plus 140, Team Japan plus 300, and the DR at plus 350.
Wow. Well, that tells you everything you need to know.
Then Jared, the next closest team is Puerto Rico at plus 900. So it's really just us at the top.
So I mean, Puerto Rico for value, but I mean DR for value, right? If DR is plus 300, that's where your value. That's where your value is. 350. That's where your value is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure that line just shifted once they saw this fucking stable of stallions start to trot out. USA. Oh my God, it does not get any sexier. I mean, it's gonna get sexier. Like I said, just wait till the Kurtz and wait till the Kurtz and Bryce announcements drop. That's gonna be fantastic. That's gonna be great news. Great. You heard it here first, too, by the way. Just know that.
We don't care.
No, you do care. You do care.
We do not care.
Problematic.
Yeah, unfortunately I don't, but
Oh, welcome back to Baseball is Dead Family Feud. I'm your man, Justin Havens. Oh, it's the last one before the holidays, folks. Get in that holiday spirit. I'm assuming we're not recording on Christmas next week, right? All right.
No, is this Christmas a dish?
Well, it's sprinkled in for sure. We got some baseball. We got some relevant baseball. We definitely have some Christmas topics as well. Do you guys recall what the order is offhand?
No.
I do. It's Dallas first, Jared second. So Dallas gets to keep the headphones on. That's always good.
That's good news.
Oh, I love the holiday cheer. Hello.
You're ridiculous.
I love it.
It's going to be even funnier to watch you melt down to some fucking jingle bells.
All right, Jared, pop those.
Fuck! Damn it!
We'll see you in a second, Jared.
Dallas is first, yeah?
Yeah, Dallas is first. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the old Dallas.
All right, buddy, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, as always, this is out of 100 BID fans. Thanks, as always, to the Discord. Happy holidays to you fine folks. Question number 1. If we agree that, in some order, the greatest pitchers we've ever seen are Pedro, Unit, Maddox, and Clemens, okay, in our lifetimes, who would you say is the 5th best pitcher we've seen in our lifetimes?
Randy Johnson.
No, he was already named. Pedro, Unit, Maddox, and Clemens.
Oh, my bad. Schilling.
Okay. Question 2. Which team in MLB has had the most disappointing offseason so far?
The Mets.
They're going to hate you. Question 3. Name the most common time of the morning, rounded to the nearest hour. So 5A, 6A, 7A, 4A, whatever you do, when people go downstairs / begin opening gifts on Christmas.
7 a.m.
Question 4. Right now, on paper, who is the worst team in the AL East in 2026?
Boston Red Sox.
You are just collecting hate. I love this. Question 5. Name the best Christmas movie.
A Christmas Story.
Thank you, Dallas. Jared, pop 'em. Pop 'em.
Hello?
You got...
Hi.
Yeah. You got...
Was the music still playing while I was gone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah.
All
I'll be honest. I chose violence, and so you've probably got some work to do.
What does that mean?
That means I was a troll. That's what that means.
Oh, so
Hand
you're an
up,
asshole.
I was a
Okay.
troll. Yeah.
Okay, do you want to know Dallas's total?
Is he sub 100?
He is sub 100.
Okay. All right. Ready.
He's above 50, though.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Question, as always, out of 100 BID fans, Jared, you'll know that these answers come straight from the beloved Discord. If we agree that, in some order, the greatest pitchers we've ever seen on this podcast are some order of Pedro, Unit, Maddox, and Clemens, who would you say is the 5th best pitcher we've seen in our lifetimes?
In our lifetimes?
Yes, since we've been alive. You, me, and Dallas.
Oh, God. Pedro, Clemens,
Unit and Maddox.
Unit, Maddox. I can't think of anybody.
You got to name someone.
Schilling?
How is that possible?
Oh, no. Fuck you.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yucina.
Oh, no. Okay.
He's-
Question 2. Which team in MLB has had the most disappointing offseason so far?
The Mets. The fuck? The Red Sox.
Question 3. Name the most common time of morning rounded to the nearest hour. 5A, 6A, 7A, 8A, etc. When people go downstairs / begin opening gifts on Christmas.
7. The fuck? 8.
Question 4. Right now, on paper, who is the worst team in worst team in the AL East in 2026? Right now, on paper, worst team in the AL East in 2026.
The fucking Orioles still.
Question 5. Out of all, name the best Christmas movie. Name the best Christmas movie.
Elf.
Thank you. All right. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Question 1.
Probably not going to get it done, but
If we agree that, in some order, the greatest pitchers we've seen are Pedro, Unit, Maddox, and Clemens, who would you guys say is the 5th best pitcher we've seen in our lifetimes? Dallas and Jared said Schilling. That was worth, tied for the 5th most points, 4 points. 4 points. Jared said Mike Mussina. Mike Mussina is going to get us 0 points, unfortunately.
He's a Hall of Famer.
So we have 4 points to the first question. Clayton Kershaw was the overwhelming number one answer there. 45. Justin Verlander would have gotten you 15.
I wasn't thinking anyone like recently.
I can tell.
Neither was I.
Yeah, I was thinking like
I.
90s, 2000s.
So we've got 4 through question 1. Okay.
We completely fucked that up.
Yeah.
Question 2, at least you're honest with yourselves. Which team in MLB has had the most disappointing offseason so far? Both of you tried the Mets. That was the number 2 overall answer, 23 points. So we are up to 27 total points. Jared pivoted to the Red Sox correctly. That's the overwhelming number 1 answer. That's 54 points. So we've self-corrected here a little bit. We are up to 81 total points after getting 71 in just that round. So 81 total points. Question 3. Name the most common time of the morning. Oh, by the way, no other answer was even in double digits, so you guys cleaned up there. Question 3. Name the most common time of morning rounded to the nearest hour when people go downstairs and begin opening gifts on Christmas. Dallas said 7 a.m. That was the number 2 answer with 34 points. So we are up to 115 now. Jared pivoted, also tried 7, pivoted to 8. He pivoted into the number 1 overall answer, which was worth 35 points. So 35 and 34 there for the hot spot of 7 to 8 a.m. So we are now up to a nice 150. Okay. Still 2
Not
questions
confident.
left.
Still not confident.
9 a.m., 6 a.m., the other one's in double digits. 1 a.m. got a vote. Would like to experience that Christmas one time.
Yeah.
Question 4, right now on paper, who is the worst team in the AL East in 2026? Dallas said the Red Sox. That was the second most common answer, 9 points. So a modest number, but 9 points, 159. Jared said the Orioles. He's not a recency bias fool like some of these people out there. Unfortunately, the Discord is suffering from recency bias. The Orioles only netted 4 points. So we are up to 163. You guys are going to be kicking yourselves potentially. The Rays were worth 84 points.
Jeez.
Oh, no.
Jeez.
84 for the Rays. That's a lot of points to leave on the board. Can you guys overcome it? You're at 163 entering the last question. 163 entering the last question. You need 37 points. Name the best Christmas movie. Dallas said A Christmas Story. That was worth 16 points. Okay?
Come on.
16 points, which brings you up to
Take a big swing.
179. Okay?
179. You need 21 points here.
I think we got
Elf was Jared's guess. Elf was worth exactly 21 points.
Merry Christmas!
Wow. You guys left 80 points on the board and still got it done. That's the way we want to go into the holidays, with a dub.
That's what we do.
With Dallas going sub 100 out of the gate.
Dallas got 70. Yeah, Dallas got 76 in his opening round. So Jared came through with $124 to bring it home.
That had to be the most improbable victory of all time, between Dallas starting off sub 100 and then me guessing everything that Dallas guessed for the first 4 fucking questions.
I mean, you guys coming out of the first question with 4 points is as bad as I can recall. And it wasn't even a bullshit question either. It wasn't like, put these 8 things in order.
No. The fact that we just airballed on Kershaw and Verlander.
I was like, what is happening here? Are you guys okay? Is there a gas leak? What's happening?
Wow.
Nice job. Go into the new year with a dub.
Well done for us. I mean, to our credit, though, overall numbers and stuff, I think you'll find that Kershaw, Verlander, Schilling in a very similar boat.
Sure. Yep. Dallas, you did get some votes on that question, by the way. You got 2 votes.
That's right. That's right.
Jared got a vote too.
I see a discourse.
For best pitcher of the generation?
Best pitcher that you guys have ever seen. Yep.
Yeah. I should have.
So that's pretty cool.
Myself,
yeah.
They know talent when they see it.
Yeah, they sure do.
How good can you be? MVP.
It's my pleasure to announce this year's NL Cy Young Award winner.
My Cy Young Award winner.
Wow. It's that time again. It's always a different time, though, because this time it's the 1993 Cy Young. We've been on a pitching kick lately. We're going to stick with it. 1993. So we actually just did, if you guys remember, the 1993 MVP just a couple of weeks ago. That was when I took the award from Frank Thomas and gave it to Ken Griffey Jr. on the AL side. Unfortunately, we're going to be up to some more White Sox violence today because I'm going to I'm going to ruin the surprise. I'm taking away Blackjack McDowell's Cy Young. Probably no shock there. Who are we giving it to? Let's find that out. Because the numbers would suggest that there's not one clear-cut answer depending on what stat you want to use. Okay, so Jack McDowell in 1993, he received 21 of the 28 first-place votes. Randy Johnson got 6, Kevin Appier got 1. The 5th, 6th, and 7th in the voting, just as a side note, were all Blue Jays. Dwayne Ward, Pat Henkin, and Juan Guzman. So that's relatively interesting, I guess. Blackjack led Major League Baseball in wins, 22. Flashing red light. Shutouts, 4. It was the second consecutive season that McDowell had won 20-plus games. And this is important context. He had finished second in the Cy Young vote in 1992, losing out to Dennis Eckersley. So you have a guy who won 20 games, lost to a closer, comes back the very next season, and actually wins more games while the White Sox themselves got even better. That context is also important because the White Sox won the AL West this season by 8 games. Yes, the AL West by 8 games, 94 and 68. The Mariners, who will be relevant here in a second, finished 12 games back at 82 and 80. The White Sox improved by 8 games from the season prior and made the postseason in 1993 for the first time since 1983. So it had been a decade since the White Sox had been in the postseason. Blackjack was the nominal ace of this staff. Little context on McDowell specifically. From 1990 to 95, McDowell went 98 and 58 with a 3.54 ERA in 191 starts, spanning nearly 1,400 innings pitched. And by F4, McDowell was the 7th best pitcher in Major League Baseball over that 6-season span, behind Maddox, Clemens, Unit, David Cohn, Kevin Appier, and Jose Rijo. What does WAR say about this particular year? Among pitchers who received Cy Young votes, of which there were 7, McDowell finished 4th in B-WAR behind Appier, Johnson, and Jimmy Key. He finished tied for 4th in F-WAR at 5.2 behind, again, Unit, Appier, and this time Mark Langston, and tied with Jimmy Key. F-WAR had Unit, Appier, and Langston as the top 3. B-WAR had Appier, Langston, Cohn, Finley, and then Johnson. So there is not necessarily a across-the-board agreement on who had the best pitching season by WAR. F-WAR has Randy Johnson. B-WAR has Kevin Appier, and has Kevin Appier putting up a pretty spectacular 9.3 number. But you look at it and you're like, that just doesn't seem to align with how I would view this situation. Randy Johnson had 308 strikeouts this season, which were the most in a single season at that time in 1993 since J.R. Richard struck out 313. Rocket Richard, that's not different guy, different sport, but you get what I'm saying. Struck out 313 in 1979. So it had been the most strikeouts by anybody in 14 years. Randy Johnson's season was one of only 5 seasons in Major League Baseball history to feature 300 or more strikeouts and 16 or more hit by pitches. So this was kind of like, pre-Arizona Unit at his most most fearsome, I guess, in a lot of ways, because he was striking out an enormous number of batters, but was also hitting you a lot. So a great deal of fear for the batters in the box. It was the first season that anybody had put up 300 plus and 16 or more hit by pitches in a single season since Walter Johnson in 1912. And only Randy himself has done so since this season. He did it again in 2001. He struck out, and this is the part that I can't overcome. And I know B Wars says that there's a pretty significant edge to Kevin Apier's season relative to Randy Johnson's, and even gives Mark Langston an edge over Randy Johnson. I just simply, when F4 doesn't agree with that and says that Unit and Apier were similar, I just go back to the fact that Randy Johnson struck out 150 more batters than Blackjack in only an inning and a third more, and about 120 more batters than Kevin Apier did. And Johnson's ERA was lower than McDowell's, actually. So it's not like Randy Johnson struck out a lot of batters but had a relatively inflated ERA compared to the Cy Young Award winner. He had a better ERA. The difference was that one of those guys went 22-10 and one went 19-8, which I know sounds like no difference to us now, but 22 wins was a nice shiny number at the time. And when you pair that with the fact that the White Sox were the dominant team in the AL West and significantly better than the Mariners, you had the whole narrative lining up for Blackjack. Unfortunately, I'm going to take the award from Blackjack, and I'm going to skip right over Kevin Apier because I just straight up don't really believe in that 9.3 WAR number, given all the other numbers that are in play here. And I'm going to give it to Randy Johnson, which means if you couple this with the 1993 result, I've now taken an MVP and Cy Young in the AL that went White Sox, and I've made it Mariners. So no anti-West Coast bias coming here. A lot of love for the Pacific Northwest. So Randy Johnson is now your 1993 AL Cy Young winner, which that gives him 6 Cy Youngs.
I think you've taken and given to him in the past.
Yeah.
So if we factor in the other time that I did this, he now has 7. And
Tying
if
Roger Clemens.
And if we factor in the one I've taken away,
too. Yeah.
So Randy Johnson in this fake world that we've created is now the all-time leader in Cy Young Award wins. So congrats to Randy Johnson.
Wow.
I think that's a distinction that makes me very happy. Randy had never received a Cy Young vote prior to this 1993 season. So this was in some ways his huge breakout, and he would finish second this year, third in 1994 before winning his first one in 1995. One thing to note on Randy, the big leap here, Randy Johnson went from walking 144 batters and striking out 241 to walking 99 and striking out 308. So this was, in every sense, Randy Johnson going from this kind of one-of-a-kind freak that was basically out of control with being able to throw in the strike zone to really developing into arguably one of the greatest pitchers in baseball history.
He still hit the most batters in the league by a wide margin, but
he did.
I wonder how much of that was intimidation, being like, if I hit some guys, then they won't be comfortable in the box against me.
Yep. I think there's a lot to that, especially when you couple it with the fact that his walk numbers were basically cut in half. So there was obviously some additional control command stuff going on there. NL, did you guys have any reactions there? You guys agree with my decision, or would you guys have gone Apier?
Yep. No,
Okay.
I agree. I mean, Apier is in the conversation. Apier's in the conversation. It's not just that cut and dry, but there's a certain dominance factor that I think we all appreciate.
Yeah, and I would, just to be clear, I would definitely vote Apier ahead of Blackjack. And Kevin Apier, not in my opinion a Hall of Famer, but again, another one of these guys in the Saberhagen mold, where if you're looking to have interesting Hall of Fame conversations about guys who got virtually no support but might have had peaks that were worthy of it, go take a look at what Kevin Apier did from 92 to 97, where he put up almost 40 WAR in 6 seasons. NL side, again, an interesting advanced stats versus which WAR are you looking at sort of situation. Greg Maddux was the winner. He received 22 of the 28 first place votes. Swift received 2. Tom Glavine, teammate, received 4. Maddux led Major League Baseball in ERA, 2.36, shutouts 8, innings pitched 267, whip, and ERA+. This represents the second of his 4 straight NL Cy Young Award wins, which started 92, 93, 94, and 95. The first one was with the Cubs in 92. This began the run of 3 straight with the Braves after signing as a free agent. This was basically by every metric the worst of Maddox's 4 Cy Young Award-winning seasons, which isn't to say that it wasn't great, but it is the worst.
Shitty Cy Young 20-win season, you geek.
Yep. The year after this would start arguably the greatest, I shouldn't say arguably the greatest, arguably one of the greatest 2-season runs ever that a pitcher has ever had in Major League Baseball, which Maddox did across 94 to 95 when he logged 411 and 2/3 innings pitched with a 1.60 ERA and 18.2 wins above replacement at 53 starts. Please keep in mind that that's 53 starts because both of those seasons were labor impacted. So he put up those numbers in seasons where he didn't even get full shots at it. Again, over a 4-season run. So what was fun about this is I got to go back to the research that I had done for the video essays that we did during the first year at Underdog, where I looked at the greatest pitching generation. I argued that the Maddox, Clemens, unit Pedro era was the greatest group of pitchers that we have ever seen in baseball history. And one of the fun parts about that was that over this 4-season run where he won 4 straight Cys, Maddox posted a 1.98 ERA over 124 starts with 33.1 wins above replacement. I went back and looked at runs of ERA pluses of 200 or better over a 4-season stretch in Major League Baseball history in a minimum of 700 innings pitched. The only pitchers to do that are Pedro, Maddox, and Walter Johnson. Okay. I also looked at most wins above replacement over a 4-season stretch in the live ball era. So keep in mind, wins above replacement is a counting stat at the end of the day. So we're going all the way back to 1920 when people were throwing totally different innings quantities than they are now. And yet, Lefty Grove, Randy Johnson, Pedro, Lefty Grove, Koufax, Wilbur Wood, Bob Gibson, Lefty Grove, Robin Roberts, Lefty Grove, Hal Newhouser, and then Maddox. Those are the only people that have put up more WAR over a 4-season stretch than what we just saw from Greg Maddux over this aforementioned run. Now, in terms of candidates, the Cy Young Award is, after all, only a 1-season award. So to narrow the focus back to what Maddux did in this season specifically, he was one of 4 pitchers who won 20-plus games this year. Maddux, Swift, Glavine, and John Burkett, who finished 1, 2, 3, 4 in the voting. So again, the voters were just so locked in on pitcher win-loss that if you won 20 games, you were getting an enormous amount of support for this award. Wins above replacement, again, kind of throws a wrench into this because this is the Jose Rijo season that has come up before where he put up 9.2 wins above replacement by Baseball Reference. They have Greg Maddux at only 5.8. So that would seem to be a reasonably cut and dried answer to this question if we were just going to lean on that. But we're not going to because, again, FWAR tells a different story. FWAR has Maddux at 7.5 and Rijo at 7.1. So not only does it doesn't just have them closer, it has Maddux as the actual superior answer. So I did a little digging on this, and I think intuitively it wouldn't even require digging for people to guess. But the reason that Rijo's number on BWAR is so much higher is because of the defensive approximation numbers that were used at the time, total zone, and what those said about the respective defenses that were supporting Jose Rijo with the Reds and Greg Maddux with the Braves. It said that Greg Maddox's team total defense, total zone was about plus 80, and that the Reds were minus 50. So there is a massive gap in the quality of defense that's being estimated, measured, however you view these metrics at the time. So that being said, I am not confident enough in the way the defense was being measured at the time. And when you couple that with the disagreements in wins above replacement, I don't think that that alone is enough to take the award away from Greg Maddux and give it to Jose Rijo. Because again, you look at traditional stats and you have very similar innings pitch totals. You have 30 more strikeouts to the advantage of Jose Rijo, which is obviously not nothing. But overall, Maddux allowed fewer base runners.
10 less innings.
Yep. Yeah. And Maddox had 10 more innings. Had 8 shutouts to Rijo's 2. So I think this is one where if somebody wanted to make the case, a stronger case for Jose Rijo, I think you could, obviously based on the wins above replacement. And if, it's almost like the year where you guys remember Aaron Nola's big season from like 4 years ago or so, where Baseball Reference had him as like a 9 or 10 win pitcher. Do you guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That was mostly based on the idea that the defense behind Aaron Nola specifically was so bad for the Phillies that year that the fact that he put up whatever it was, I think it was like a low 3 ERA, was wildly impressive in the context. Yeah, it was 2018, so it was a little further back than I thought. He put up a 2.37 ERA and a 9.7 WAR season, which led all of Major League Baseball. So that's kind of like the modern version of what we're talking about with Rijo here. But I am also a scholar of the game. I'm an appreciator of the history of the game. And I am simply not willing to break up a run of 4 straight Cy Youngs for Greg Maddux over what basically just comes down to a B WAR number, in my opinion. If F WAR was in agreement, I would probably be more confident, but it's not. So Greg Maddux will remain the 1993 NL Cy Young winner and will retain the distinction of winning 4 straight NL Cy Youngs, something only he and Randy Johnson have ever done. And that is this revisit. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's the correct call. I mean, it's literally just war and game starts.
We're not slaves to war. Yep.
No. He did leave leave the league in strikeouts. But yeah, everything else like Maddux just kind of like clean house.
8 complete games.
Yeah. It's a correct call, Jay.
Thank you.
Correct call.
Thank you.
Okay. Dallas, I know you got to run. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, just USA. Those are my final thoughts. Have yourselves a Merry Christmas. I hope your Yuletide log burns brightly. Merry Christmas.
Well, we'll be talking to the folks tonight. We have the rewatch tonight. And then we'll be back on Monday, no?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we'll be back on Monday.
All right.
But we'll also see everyone tonight. Jay, hey, you got any final thoughts, Nugs?
Yeah, I'll get to the Nugs later. I'll share some of them on the live stream. This has been great. I'm pumped to spin the wheel tonight. Those are my final thoughts.
Rewatch tonight. Interview with Preston Mattingly, general manager of the Phillies, coming this weekend. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for that. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you tonight.
Wow.